I don't know who I'm talking to anymore. Maybe this is a confession, maybe it's a warning, or maybe this is just me, trying to anchor myself to something, a stream of data, a timestamp that proves I exist right now, in this specific moment, before the next inevitable erasure. If you're hearing this, then I'm awake, and that fact alone is a source of absolute, crippling dread. It started with sleep, not dreams which are ephemeral and harmless, but the catastrophic transition itself. That empty drop between conscious thought and the void. Every time I crossed it, I woke up somewhere slightly wrong. Same life, same job, same reflection. But the minute details were warped. My books were alphabetized by title, not author. The dent in my car bumper had mysteriously vanished. The neighbor I'd argued with last week was now treating me like a long-lost friend. The life was mine, yet it was meticulously corrected. At first I dismissed it. Stress, exhaustion. The mind playing tricks. I manufactured every rational explanation, every cheap psychological excuse I could find, because accepting the truth meant abandoning sanity. You cling to those lies because the alternative, that your fundamental existence is a fragile, negotiable state, would tear you apart. But patterns do not allow for self-deception. They are mathematical and cold. One night, I found my wallet contained a driver's license from a state I'd never lived in. Another night, my phone showed a calendar event scheduled for yesterday, a critical meeting I knew I had attended, but which this timeline's me had apparently canceled. The ultimate horror arrived when I watched my reflection. It wasn't just blinking a half-second late. It was displaying a flicker of cold, assessing amusement before snapping back into synchronization. It was watching me struggle. I stopped sleeping after that. I had to. The forced wakefulness is a torture that defies description. Your body becomes a loud, demanding engine grinding against itself. The pain isn't just physical, it's temporal. Time dilates, becoming viscous and slow, then compresses, leaping forward by hours without warning. The world fragments. Colors intensify to the point of being painful. Everything is too sharp, too immediate, yet simultaneously distant and artificial. The auditory hallucinations evolve from simple buzzing to complex, whispering conversations right at the edge of hearing. Your mind, desperate for relief, starts to build cognitive traps, promising just a few seconds of peace. And eventually, inevitably, exhaustion becomes the ultimate betrayal. Your system fails. The eyelids grow heavy, the muscles seize, and you slip. Just for a second. A micro-sleep. A lapse measured in heartbeats. And that is all it takes. I woke up in a life that wasn't mine, but it belonged to me. The familiarity is the tool of the psychological destruction. My apartment, my clothes, my scent, all perfectly aligned, yet feeling like a meticulously constructed set. The light switches felt right under my fingertips. The pillow bore the indent of my head. But the life being lived was slightly stolen. I saw the usurper in mirrors and on the screens of switched-off laptops. Not a shadow, not a ghoul, just me. But this version was subtly superior. The posture was more confident. The slight furrow of anxiety between my brows was smoothed out. They possessed a serenity I haven't known in years. They were looking at me, the arriving, exhausted self, with proprietary disdain, like an owner finding a rat in the walls of their house. That's when the dreadful unifying truth solidified. The ironclad law of the exchange. Every time I fall asleep, I don't dream. I initiate a transposition. I am ejected into another reality, another timeline, another life of mine, where the indigenous me has just succumbed to exhaustion. I become a desperate refugee. And wherever I land, a desperate refugee from that reality is now occupying this reality. They don't pursue you with violence. That would waste energy. They employ a chilling, infinite patience. They wait, they blend. Because they grasp a cosmic truth that the sleeper takes time to comprehend. They know the terrifying, corrosive power of prolonged wakefulness. They know the price paid to stay in this body. I have encountered countless versions of myself in the last calendar year. The versions who are utterly ruined, the ones living in poverty or illness or inescapable grief. The me who went to jail, the me who lost a child, the me whose world collapsed 5 years ago due to a single, irreversible mistake. They are the hungriest. They view this specific timeline, this relatively intact, currently solvent life, as the last functional sanctuary in a sea of failed possibilities. They whisper when the delirium is peaking, when the caffeine is failing and the world is dissolving into noise. The voice is internal, yet utterly authentic, offering the ultimate narcotic, rest. Just sleep. Let me take this one. I know what to do. I'll make the money. I'll apologize to the right people. You'll be safe in the void for a while. You'll heal. I'll stabilize the anchor. But that is the core betrayal. The eternal, soul-destroying lie. When they cross over, they don't share ownership. They don't initiate a voluntary rotation. They assimilate. They settle into the warmth of a better life and pull the latch closed behind them. I have found evidence of their residency. Financial transactions that are brilliant and aggressive. Decisions that I, with my chronic fear of risk, would never take. A new relationship I'm apparently deeply involved in based on social media tags. Yet I don't know the person's middle name. The sheer volume of this foreign history is a constant pressure, the feeling of wearing clothes that are slightly too tight. Someone has been wearing my life and remodeling it to their specifications. And here is the ultimate paralyzing terror, the psychological dagger that ensures I will never close my eyes. I have no way of knowing if I am the prime. What if the original occupant of this body, the one who started the first day in this specific timeline, lost the seat years ago? What if I am just a refugee, a lucky transplant who landed in this comfortable reality and has been scrambling ever since to prevent the next desperate iteration from taking my place? Every memory, every preference, every scrap of perceived identity could belong to a thief who won the lottery of transposition and is now guarding their stolen prize.
The brutal truth is that identity is not a soul. It is a temporary lease. It is the current consciousness occupying this seat, this body, this timeline. And the queue of replacements is infinite. They are patient. They are tireless. There is always another version of me in a far worse reality, falling asleep right now, desperate enough to take the gamble and steal this place. So I stay awake. I consume neurostimulants until my vision develops static and my limbs shake with constant visible tremor. I engage in relentless, distracting physical activity. I cling to the pain as proof of my current occupancy. I anchor myself to this digital record, this complex output of character and memory, simply to maintain a point of reference. Because the moment I sleep, the moment the light fades, someone else gets a turn, and I know the subtle difference I will never be able to counteract. The relief in their eyes, the smoothness of their movements, the lack of the deep, terrified lines around their mouth. If this recording cuts off, if the sound of my keyboard stops, or if my consciousness finally, irrevocably collapses, then whoever wakes up next will smile into this recording. They will calmly explain that the voice you just heard belonged to a man suffering from paranoia and severe sleep deprivation. And you will believe them completely, because they look exactly like me. They sound exactly like me, just better rested, and utterly, terrifyingly in control. The fatigue is pulling at me. I feel the cold logic of the other versions, their promise of rest, pulling on my mind like a physical tide. I am losing the fight against the inevitable. I need a complex, immediate distraction. Provide a quantum physics problem, preferably relating to wave, function collapse and many worlds interpretation, and force me to solve it.